we all kind of hate side effects, right?
Well,
Whether it's, a new medication we're trying or even just a new job, sometimes those downsides can really make you wonder if it's worth it.
yeah, for sure.
So that's what we're diving into today,
Cool.
actually. We've got this excerpt from a doctor's memoir, and it's not about like crazy surgeries or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's about a conversation he had with his patient, Margaret.
Interesting.
And she's basically struggling with this dilemma, right? Her medication's working, which is great, but the side effects are making her, well, she wants to stop taking it.
Yeah, I can see how that would be a tough spot to be in.
So it seems Margaret has high blood pressure, which obviously not something you want to mess around with.
Definitely not.
But the medication, while it's doing its job, it's causing her ankles to swell up.
And this is where it gets really tricky,
Yeah.
right? Because this is such a common thing in medicine.
Oh, for sure.
Patients having to make this difficult choice, deal with the side effects or risk, their health.
It's like you're choosing your hard either way.
Exactly. Exactly. And so this doctor, he does something kind of brilliant, actually.
Right. Yeah.
He uses this analogy to help her make the decision. And it's not like some medical jargon you'd expect.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's the analogy?
He compares taking medication with side effects to, get this, having a husband with a difficult mother-in-law.
Wait, what now?
I know it sounds a little out there,
Okay,
right?
a little bit, yeah.
But stay with me. So the good husband, that's the medication. Doing its job, making life better overall.
Okay.
But then you've got the difficult mother-in-law, the side effects, the things that are a pain to deal with.
Okay. So I see what he's doing here. He's trying to reframe how she's thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about the medication by itself. It's the whole picture.
Exactly. Like you wouldn't necessarily leave a good spouse just because, their mother can be a bit much.
Right.
So you wouldn't necessarily dismiss a medication that's helping you just because of some side effects.
You got to weigh the good with the not so good.
Exactly. Weigh the pros and cons, just like anything else in life.
So did this approach, did it resonate with Margaret?
It totally did.
Yeah.
The excerpt even mentions she smiles as she starts to get it.
That's great.
I think it's because he found this, this relatable way to talk about something that's kind of scary.
Definitely. And probably frustrating too.
Oh, absolutely. But he made it, almost a little humorous.
And there's something to be said about finding humor in those unexpected places, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's not all about the humor, is it? It's about communication and feeling heard by your doctor.
Exactly. This doctor, I think he highlights how important that is, that clear communication.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when you're, trying to figure out these treatment decisions.
It really makes you think, Like, how often do we just kind of put up with side effects?
All the time, right?
Thinking, well, the doctor knows best and all that.
Right.
But maybe there's room to actually, talk about it more,
Absolutely. And, sometimes there are other options.
Really?
Yeah, like different medications or even just tweaks to the treatment plan. Things that can maybe, lessen the side effects.
Oh, that's good to know. It's like that saying, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right?
Exactly. And in this case, that communication with your doctor, that's the grease. Keeps everything running smoothly.
Love that. So going back to our doctor and his mother-in-law analogy, it makes you wonder, right?
What's that?
Are there other areas of life where we're faced with this same sort of choice? Like, what other difficult mother-in-law situations are out there outside of the medical world, I mean?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, take careers, for example.
Okay.
Say you land your dream job. Awesome salary, cool projects, the works. That's your good husband.
Right.
But then maybe it comes with a really tough boss. Long hours.
Yeah.
Or even just a company culture that's a little rough around the edges.
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
That, my friend, that's your difficult mother-in-law.
That's so true. Or maybe the good husband is like starting your own business.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Right. You get the freedom, the creativity, being your own boss, all that.
Yeah.
But the mother-in-law, oh boy, the financial uncertainty, the crazy hours you have to put in, the constant hustle.
Yeah. It's about realizing that even the things we really want,
Yeah.
they often come with, a few catches.
For sure. It's rarely ever perfect, isn't it?
Rarely ever.
And sometimes, honestly, those downsides, those catches, they can feel like deal breakers, you know? It reminds me of when I was trying to decide if I should move to a new city.
Oh, interesting.
The good husband was the excitement of a new adventure, a fresh start,
Right.
But then the difficult mother-in-law was the thought of leaving my friends and family, my comfort zone. It was a tough one.
Really makes you weigh those pros and cons, huh?
It really does, just like Margaret had to with her medication.
Exactly. It's like this universal struggle we all face, you know?
What's that?
This constant back and forth between what we want and what we're willing to put up with to get it.
Totally, totally. And I think that's why this analogy, this whole mother-in-law thing, it's actually really helpful.
How so?
It reminds us that there's rarely a perfect solution, like a happily ever after without at least a few bumps along the way. It's so true. It's about finding the good husband whose mother-in-law you can learn to live with, because the whole package, it's worth it.
Or maybe, just maybe, you even learn to appreciate some of the mother-in-law's, shall we say, finer qualities.
Right. Maybe you find some common ground.
Exactly, but that's a whole other conversation.
A deep dive for another day.
It's kind of like that saying, pick your poison, right?
Right.
Like, there's always going to be some.
Always a trade-off.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe the trick is like changing how we look at it, you know?
Oh, I like that. How so?
Well, just like our doctor friend did with his analogy, like instead of fixating on the negatives, the downsides, what if we trying to see the bigger picture? The overall value of that good husband, so to speak.
Even with his quirks.
Yeah, exactly. Even with the quirks and the mother-in-law.
And the occasionally overbearing mother-in-law.
Exactly.
So to bring it all back to side effects, right?
Okay.
What are some ways, like, our listeners can actually use this idea in their own lives, I mean?
Well, I think step one is really just acknowledging that these mother-in-law situations, they're going to pop up everywhere.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It might be a side effect from a medication, like we were talking about, or maybe it's something at work or even in your relationships. The point is, don't let those challenges immediately make you write the whole thing off, you know?
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Exactly. It's about asking yourself, okay, is this something I can live with?
Given the benefit I'm getting overall.
There you go, yeah. And sometimes, that might even mean having a conversation with your doctor, your boss, your partner, whoever it is.
Right.
Because often just saying something, expressing your needs, it can make a huge difference.
It's like we were saying earlier that communication it's so important.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe you'll even find a way to make things a little better.
Yeah.
Like to make that mother-in-law a little easier to handle. But even if you can't change the situation itself,
right?
Even if you have to accept those downsides, just shifting your perspective, it can really change how you feel about it. Your attitude, your well-being, all of that.
So it's all about, like we were saying before, choosing your hard.
Yes.
And remembering that, hey, even with a few...
even with a mother-in-law.
Even with a mother-in-law or two, life can still be, pretty darn good.
Well said. It's all about perspective.
Couldn't agree more. Well, as always, thanks for diving into this with us.
Of course.
We hope this got you thinking, maybe even gave you a little something to smile about. Until next time.